All right, up next, we are looking at the Washington football team and the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions on a surge over the past couple weeks, trying to get back in playoff contention, whereas Washington still technically within reach of winning the NFC East. So this is an important game, although maybe not an exciting one. One that will matter for real football, not as much for fantasy. Lots of missing people here, some injuries, some of the bigger named guys on this team. So in terms of what we're looking at here from Vegas, we've got a 46.5 point over-under. So nothing exciting there. The Lions are favored to win this one by 4.5 points. Washington's defense has been pretty annoying going up against for fantasy purposes, allowing the third least points for quarterbacks. They're in the top tier for running backs. They have allowed the stone least amount of points for receivers, and they have been pretty average against tight ends, have been getting tighter as the season goes on, whereas the Lions, we're looking at the worst team against the run, or the best team for fantasy purposes, pretty average against quarterbacks, giving up a lot of points to the tight end over the last couple of weeks, and they've been above average against receivers. That's been their only real strength up to this point, but it hasn't been the greatest there either. So especially with Kenny Golladay out, that's definitely leading us to not really being too excited about playing too many people on Detroit's side, whereas on Washington's side, we're looking at Alex Smith potentially playing. We'll see what he can do with a full week to prepare. He's yet to actually play as the starter, although he has had 2 games now where he's had to come in and play for a good period of time. Kyle Allen dealing with that pretty severe ankle injury, and Dwayne Haskins still in the doghouse. We'll see what Alex Smith can do. Now, in terms of fantasy, we're not playing Alex Smith. Now, Antonio Gibson has been on the injury report all week, but it doesn't look like his status is anything that's concerning me. Between him and J.D. McKissic pretty much being the engine of this offense thus far, going against the worst run defense in the league, I think you can comfortably start both Gibson and McKissic this week. I like Gibson slightly more than McKissic because McKissic isn't going to get the targets that he got last week every single week, but I would expect both of these guys to have a pretty decent fantasy day. You're starting Terry McLaurin every single week regardless of matchup, and I think you can play Washington's defense here. Logan Thomas is the one guy that I mean, depending on who you're starting him over, he's like right on the outside of my tight end one. So he's not someone that I feel very comfortable with starting, but you could definitely talk me into it. Whereas on the Lions side, someone's probably going to end up having a decent day here. As we mentioned, Washington does allow the least amount of points to fantasy receivers, but someone's going to get it done here because the Lions will still be able to move the ball. DeAndre Swift should be started here. I like him a lot, and TJ Hockenson could be the number 1 tight end on the week. As we mentioned, that's kind of more where Washington is a bit weaker, is in slowing down the tight ends. We know Golladay is out, so it makes it hard to trust the likes of Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, with Marvin Hall and Quintus Cephas also getting targets. If I had to pick one who's going to end up having the best week, I think Amendola is actually the safest play here. Marvin Jones could have an okay game, but again, facing the tough Washington defense, if they zone in on him, Amendola could end up seeing more of the targets and yardage in this game. And then I'm not playing Adrian Peterson here. I guess you could play the Lions defense. I don't think you need to because they haven't been great up to this point, but if Alex Smith ends up throwing a lot of picks or takes a few sacks, could still be a decent day for them. Overall, I think this will be a pretty low-scoring game as Vegas is predicting. I've got the Lions winning this one barely. Got them 20-17 over Washington this week.